Who are you? I just bought this ranch. The ranch had been rotting for over 20 years when Ethan Cole bought it for $1. Not metaphorically, not as some clever negotiation tactic. A single crumpled dollar bill placed into the trembling hand of old Mr. Caldera, the final surviving heir of a once proud cattle empire that had collapsed under debt, drought, and death. No one else wanted the property. The fields were dry as bone. The fencing leaned like tired soldiers. The windmill no longer spun. Rumors clung to the land like dust. Stories about disappearances, shadows in the barn, strange lights at night. Buyers walked away before sunset. But Ethan wasn't afraid of stories. He had grown up believing hard land made strongmen. After losing everything in a failed construction investment in Houston, all he wanted was distance. Distance from banks, from people, from pity. When he saw the ad buried in an online listing abandoned ranch. As his one must take full liability, he felt something stir that he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The first time he drove through the open gate, it felt like crossing into another era. The ranch house sagged, but stood stubbornly against the wind. The barn doors were half-hanging, scraping slightly with each gust. Tall golden weeds swallowed what used to be a path. The silence wasn't empty, it was watching. Ethan stepped out of his truck, boots pressing into dry earth. "You're mine now," he muttered, mostly to himself. Inside the house, dust coated everything like forgotten snowfall. A broken chandelier lay on the dining room table. Someone had left plates in the sink as if they planned to return for dinner. The air smelled of wood rot, and something else as something faintly human. He paused. A floorboard creaked somewhere deeper, in the house. He froze. The wind wasn't strong enough for that. Ethan moved slowly down the hallway, heartbeat steady but alert. Each step stirred years of dust. At the far end, a door stood slightly open. He hadn't noticed it before. Light soft and golden spilled from inside. That was impossible. There was no electricity. His fingers wrapped around the doorknob. He pushed, and that's when he saw her. She couldn't have been older than 16. Dark hair fell in uneven layers, like it had been cut with a pocket knife. Her clothes were worn but clean. She stood beside a small camping lantern sitting on a wooden crate. Behind her were blankets stacked carefully, jars of preserved food, and books piled in neat towers. This wasn't a random trespasser. This was someone who lived here. They stared at each other for several seconds, long enough for fear to turn into something else. "You're not supposed to be here," she said first. Her voice didn't tremble. "I bought the ranch." Ethan answered equally calm. "For $1. Her expression shifted. Not shock, not anger. Something quieter. Disappointment. Then he finally gave up. She whispered, "Ooh." She hesitated. "My grandfather." Ethan's mind turned quickly. Caldera's only son had died years ago. Locals said there was no family left. "Your grandfather sold this place to me." She nodded slowly. "He thought I was gone." The pieces fell out of order. "You've been living here alone for 3 years." The words struck harder than any ghost story. She explained in pieces. Her name was Lily Calder. When the dead swallowed Theranch, her grandfather grew ashamed. He told the town she'd gone to live with relatives. In truth, she refused to leave. This was her home. Every fence post, every tree, every sunrise over the east pasture. When her grandfather moved into a small apartment in town, she stayed behind in secret. He believed she'd eventually follow. She never did. "I know how to fix the pump," she said quietly. "And I've been planting small crops behind the barn where the soil's still good." Ethan felt something unfamiliar twist inside him. "You've been surviving," he said. "I've been protecting it." The ranch wasn't abandoned, it had been guarded. The rumor of lights in the barn, her lantern, the shadows, her moving between buildings, the disappearances, likely teenagers daring each other and running when they saw her silhouette. He should have called someone. Social services, the sheriff. Legally, that was the responsible choice. But as he looked around at her organized little corner, the jars labeled carefully. The books worn from rereading the small repaired tools. He didn't see a helpless runaway. He saw resilience. "What do you want?" Lily asked. It was a fair question. Ethan exhaled slowly. "I was planning to fix the place up." She studied him carefully. "You'll sell it?" "No." She raised an eyebrow. "I'm tired of running from things," he admitted. "Figured maybe I'd try building something instead." Silence stretched between them. "Finally," she said. "Then you're going to need help." The first night they shared the ranch house felt less haunted. Ethan patched broken boards while Lily showed him which beams were still strong. She knew the land in ways maps couldn't explain. She knew where the rainwater collected after storms. She knew which section of fence cattle used to test first. She knew the wind's personality. As days passed, the ranch began to shift, not magically, but stubbornly. They repaired the windmill together. The first time water groaned up from the well pipe, Lily laughed, a bright, unguarded sound that startled even her. Ethan felt that sound echo inside his chest. He called Mr. Calder after a week. The old man didn't speak for several long seconds after Ethan explained. "She's alive." His voice cracked. "She never left." The reunion happened quietly. No dramatic music, no grand speeches, just an old man stepping onto the land he thought he'd lost forever. And a girl standing in the doorway, pretending she wasn't shaking. Pride had separated them. Fear had kept them apart. That day, pride finally broke. Mr. Calder didn't ask for Theronch back. He simply looked at Ethan and said, "Take care of it. Take care of her." And somehow those responsibilities felt heavier than any bank loan Ethan had ever carried. Months rolled forward. Grass slowly returned to sections of pasture. A neighbor traded 2 calves in exchange for help repairing a tractor. The barn doors were rehung, fresh, paint-covered tired walls. The ranch was never glamorous, but it breathed again. One evening, as the sun sank into orange dust along the horizon, Lily stood beside Ethan near the rebuilt fence line. "You didn't buy this place for $1, she said quietly. He smiled faintly. "No, it cost you work, patience, risk," he looked at, the field stretching outward. No longer dead, just waiting. "Worth it?" he answered. The truth was this. Ethan had come looking for escape. Instead, he found responsibility. He found purpose. And in the quiet resilience of a girl who refused to abandon her home, here discovered something stronger than profit. He rediscovered belonging, and the ranch that no one wanted. The ranch sold for the price of a single dollar became the foundation of something no one could measure in money again. Because some places aren't abandoned,